Well, yeah. Do you want me to not do it live?
Oh no, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll see if people come, right? But either way, you're obviously gonna have a copy of all of this and everything. So how do I go back to the event? Oh my God. View as a member. Let's see if this is streaming.
I'm not
She
sure.
asked me to. Is this on? Okay, so this is here. Okay, let me go to my profile and see if it's streaming. It should be, but you never know. I have like serious LinkedIn events like trauma. I have PTSD. I need to like tap on it because I'm like, it just gives me serious PTSD around like.
Yeah, tech stuff is scary. There are so many variables and things that can go wrong.
Oh my gosh. I run a tech business and it's like, I don't even know like why. Okay, I think as the host, I can't see it. Let me just ask my assistant or Val to check.
Okay.
Can you please check to see if it is streaming on LinkedIn as an event? Can you join? Okay. Regardless. So I love tech. It's so funny because I like run a tech business, right? And like I run a web development agency. And people who know me, they're like, you do what exactly? Because they're like, I'm the kind of person I can't even like program the Bluetooth in my car. So it's very ironic that this is what I do. And I spent so much time like how to do a LinkedIn event. And so we'll see if I'm doing it properly. But okay, perfect. Oh my God. So Allison, I'm so excited to have you here. Number one, as a woman in marketing. Number two, as a Canadian. And number three, obviously, as an EFT practitioner. I know so many times in my life I have been like on the edge and not knowing how to like regulate. And I came across, I've done a lot of EFT work as well. I've read books, I've taken courses. I love EFT. I've done tapping solution. I've done and I love it. I think it's an incredible tool that I think a lot of people may have heard of, but they don't actually use it. And they don't actually apply it and how powerful it is. And so I'm so excited to have you here today to be telling your story, sharing how this works, talking about how as women and as women who are leaders and how we're wired and we're fried and how this is a tool that can help us like really move through blocks and help us achieve our goals. So yeah, why don't you jump on in, introduce yourself, tell us your story and your backstory and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here. This is only my second podcast ever, so here we go. Yeah, so I kind of call myself an accidental entrepreneur because this was never really my plan. So my background is as a branding and web designer, and I do have a business doing that as well. And I'd freelanced on and off in between full-time jobs, and early 2020 was when I kind of found myself in full-time self-employment. And I figured I'd just be able to like make it work. I'm like, I freelanced, I'll be able to like figure it out. And another aspect of my story is that I've had some chronic health issues for over 20 years now. So basically shows up as low-level chronic fatigue. I had done a lot. I've gone to doctors. I've worked with naturopaths and done a lot of, other things to try to figure out what was wrong with me, but not really getting to the root cause of it. So anyway, by that point in time, I already very much believed in like the mind-body connection and how emotional issues and trauma lives in our body and how that manifests in physical ways. So I was very much on that mindset already. And yeah, kind of the nervous system. I was like, okay, I think this is, kind of what's at the crux of it. So I had known about EFT for probably a long time. Like I watched the Tapping Solution documentary on YouTube as well. So I knew of it. But yeah, as an entrepreneur in 2020, kind of my being like, okay, like this is it. This is me. Like I am responsible for, providing for myself and finding income. as a person with health issues and also being an entrepreneur, it was a lot for me. And my nervous system was fried. I truly think I'd been living in fight or flight for most of my life. Um, and yeah, found trying to build a business from this already depleted and dysregulated state to be very difficult. And
Yeah.
so, I made a lot of mistakes. It took me a number of years to even really get a sense of what I was doing with my design business, all the while trying, courses and master classes and basically just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and being like, this is not working. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I need to figure out a way to kind of, yeah, get to like deal with the root cause here. Like life is feeling hard and stressful, but it's not just the business, it's everything. And so that was kind of what led me down the path of EFT. And it was really just to figure out for myself how to feel better and more regulated in life. And
Yeah.
so what I did is I took a 6-week EFT course just to kind of learn more about it, learn about, the technique and why it works and the points we tap on and why we're saying the things that we do. And in that time, I experienced something pretty stressful that I was able to tap through. And that was the first sense of like, oh, I think there's something here. Like I didn't spiral out in the same way I normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was my first little sense of like, I think there's something here to this tapping work. And
Mm-hmm.
then after that, there was an opportunity to flow into a certification, which was like a 6-month program. It was very expensive. So I had to do this like work to be like, okay, my gut is telling me I really want to do this. Like this feels right. But then there was this block of like the money stuff. Like, I don't have this money. This feels really scary to my nervous system. So it's like that, like the fight or flight comes up again. But I was able to use tapping this time to kind of like deregulate or come down and yeah, really tune into myself and be like, this feels like what I actually want to do. And so I
Wow.
went and became certified as an EFT tapping practitioner.
I love
Um,
it.
and started a second business doing that.
I love it. So, for people who don't know, tell us about EFT, what it is, how it works. Because I know some people think like it's so weird. Like I love it. I think it makes perfect sense to me. But I think a lot of people think like, how can tapping like help? And so, why don't you kind of talk us through what it is as a
Yeah.
modality?
It's true. It does look a little bit weird if you've never seen it before. But basically, it is a nervous system regulation technique where you're tapping on acupressure points that correspond with meridians in traditional Chinese medicine. So there are 9 points. I'll just quickly go through them. There's side of the hand, inside of the eyebrow, side of the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbones, under the arms, top of the head. So
Mhm.
all of these 9 points together kind of touch on the various energy systems and they connect with different organs and whatnot. And so while we're tapping, the tapping itself like calms your body. It tells you that you're safe, that you're in the present moment, and like orients you into the present. And while we're tapping, we're also saying intentional phrases that fully enter into whatever you're experiencing. So if it is anxiety, we're tapping on this anxiety. And I'll elaborate a bit more. But basically, we're acknowledging what is real and what you're feeling in your body and what your present situation is. We're not trying to make it more positive. Um, the idea is that as we're tapping and as we're talking about it, the intensity comes down. So another thing too is that we take a rating on how intense that belief is or that feeling is at the start. And as we do a number of rounds of tapping, that number should come down. So essentially, we're creating a new like relaxation response in the body with that difficult emotion or difficult memory. And it
Mhm.
can honestly be used for so many things. And it's been proven to be like a really effective and a really quick acting solution for a lot of things. Obviously, stress and anxiety, which we all experience in today's day and age, but it can also be used for things like chronic pain, like substance abuse, deep trauma, like It's really quite incredible. And they've done studies where they compare it to cognitive behavioral therapy, and the results are very similar as far as effectiveness, but it actually works faster and lasts longer, which is very cool.
Wow. So can you give us an example or like show us what it looks like? Like when you were talking about how you were in a really difficult situation. I mean,
Yeah.
unless it's too personal to share, like please obviously feel to protect your privacy. But um how did you use it? Like can you sort of paint us an example of how people use it when like give us a little demo of how it works?
Mhm. So, okay, let's say that the main feeling in that experience was shame. It was something like
Okay.
too big, like big body reaction. So, what you want to do is like tune into where you feel the thing in your body. So, let's say for shame, I'm feeling that my face is flushed. I'm feeling that my heart is beating really fast. And I'm going to give a number to those. So, like,
Mm.
and like tightness in my chest and like, oh, I just want to like curl up. So we're giving it like a really vivid description of whatever you're feeling. So yeah, where you feel it in your body. You can even tune into like, is there a color associated with it? So maybe it's like this like red ball around my face and it's this like fiery, swirly energy. So like lots of description. So then I would start with, yeah, even though I'm feeling this shame, I choose to love and accept myself. So there's an acknowledgement of what you're feeling. And then there's this aspect of accepting yourself even in the midst of this feeling. So I would say that 3 times. Even though I feel this shame, I choose to love and accept myself. Even
Yeah.
though I feel this shame, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. So the setup statement always starts on the side of the hand. And then we go through the rest of the points. So I'm gonna I'm going to repeat that I'm feeling the shame, and then I'm also going to go into the ways that it's showing up. So I might be like, all of the shame, this heat in my face, and this tension in my chest, feeling so uncomfortable, feeling so much shame. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I said that thing. Feeling so much shame. And then I always come back to the body. So with a client, I would do multiple rounds of that. And I'm always trying to use the client's words because the more specific you can be and speaking to the actual experience and using the actual words people are saying, the more effective it is to like bring that down. So
Yeah.
usually with clients, I would lead them through at least 3 rounds of all the points before we come back to the body, check in, and then I just ask them to notice like, has anything shifted? Like, like what are you noticing within yourself? So it might be
Mhm.
that, oh yeah, like less intense. And often, the thoughts go somewhere else. And that's the really interesting thing about the sessions I do with clients is like we might start with one thing and it often
Mm.
leads us somewhere else because yeah,
So good.
yeah,
Oh my God. I love that
layers
so much.
and layers to experiences that we
I
have.
love it so much. I don't know if it's just me, but to me, you look a little bit blurry. Do you
Oh,
look blurry to you or are you clear? Because it might just be something on my end.
I was clear to myself,
Oh, you look clear
but
to yourself? Okay.
it was okay.
It might just be me. Okay, let's just continue. Let's just continue. Um, okay, that's amazing. No, I completely agree. I've been in situations like that as well, where I feel like I'm going to spin out and I can just tap through it and it like definitely brings it down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like the acupressure without having to put needles in your body, right? So-
Yeah.
I
And
love
you
acupuncture personally, but I know a lot of people don't.
yeah.
So tell us, Allison. So like your health journey, you told us a little bit about that. Like, how has that changed or transformed the way that you approach entrepreneurship?
Yeah, well, I think I learned pretty early on that I was not like the typical entrepreneur. And I don't know about you, but like the kind of the idea that I had, and also because I didn't come in with a plan, I don't have a business background.
Mhm.
Um, my idea of what an entrepreneur was is like someone who is like a hustler and they're working late nights and they're like fueled by caffeine and Red Bull, and they're just like doers and they get stuff done. And I was like, that is not me. And I don't really want that. And I can't do that, like with my physical energy limitations.
Mhm.
And so, I kind of had this question of like, how can I build a business in a way that, ultimately brings me the success and stability that I want, but that still like honors my body and my limitations and comes from this like, nervous system aware place.
Mhm.
And I think that we do have more examples of this now, like especially with social media, we're exposed to all types of businesses. And I think that a lot more talk around like women in business, particularly, and how it's different from men. I think that kind of like the typical business model is this very masculine energy. And for sure, women participate in that too, especially in our capitalist society. But I think we do have more examples now of women who are building businesses in different ways. And the idea that you can have a family and have a successful business. I think we're presented with more options and more of a sense of what's possible.
Mhm.
Um, but oh, and two, also like the idea that women with our cycles and with our hormones fluctuating, that we actually shouldn't be operating the same through the month. So I think
Mhm.
that that's really great insight. But I still feel like there's something missing around high sensitivity,
Mhm.
which is why I feel really passionate about it. And that me learning for myself that I was a highly sensitive person, which I probably discovered maybe about 12 years ago. And I remember when I read the book and having the language shown to me, I was like, oh my gosh, like this makes so much sense. And for me, it's been a very healing thing to learn more about it and to learn that it's something that you're born with. It's approximately 20% of the population. And
Yep.
so, yeah, I very much think that you can be a highly sensitive person and have a business that allows you to do the work that you love and serve people in a really impactful way without jeopardizing your health or your, I don't know, just other aspects of life by trying to operate as like a normal entrepreneur.
Right.
Yeah.
So for those of us, let's have not who don't know what an HSP is, who don't understand what high sensitivity is. I know for me too. Like I'm an HSP for sure. It's so funny. Like we'll be going somewhere, and if it's loud, my partner's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Like if he's like watching TikTok on his phone and the TV is on, I start getting stressed out and I have to turn off the TV. Or the dog is barking and I'm like start getting really like triggered. Or like I really feel all the feelings all the time. And I didn't, I just thought that I was just, I don't know, I thought I had like PTSD or something. But then I read the book and I was like, oh my God, yeah, like it makes perfect sense to me. So for those of us who don't, who those people listening who don't know what an HSP is, can you kind of talk us through it, like the premise,
Yeah.
um, give some context so people can maybe, or maybe like some ideas of how people can like feel if they are an HSP as well.
Yes, for sure. Um, I like to think of HSPs as kind of being like extra permeable to the world. So our
Mhm.
nervous systems are just taking in more information all of the time, and
Mhm.
we're like processing and reflecting on it deeply as well. So there are different kinds of sensitivity.
Mhm.
So one of them is like has to do with the senses. It has to do with like light and sound and texture, and you might just be more sensitive to those types of things. And so easily overstimulated, you probably need to be really mindful of the environments that you're in and paying attention to, yeah, when you are getting overstimulated and having kind of strategies for how to um, adapt to that or remove yourself from the situation.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's also the emotional aspect. So having big feelings within yourself, and also being really affected by other people's emotions. So you're probably really perceptive and attuned to other people's feelings, and often in the form of nonverbal. So you're probably like picking up on facial expressions and
Totally.
body cues and tone of voice. And these are really beautiful things because often you can anticipate needs and, often like move towards those in a really generous way. And then kind of like the shadow side of that is that you might overthink a tone of voice or a facial expression when it actually doesn't need to be overthought. Um, and then the third type of sensitivity is kind of this aesthetic sensitivity. So you're really moved by like beauty, like art and
Mm,
music and nature, and have a very rich inner world. So yeah, I think people can kind of have like all of these or like different amounts in the different buckets, but there's a lot more to sensitivity than just feelings. And I actually really think that for a lot of people, there's a negative connotation to the word sensitivity, like, especially if
mm,
they were told, like, in their family, like, you're being too sensitive, that's a bad thing. And so I almost feel like there needs to be this, yeah, education piece around what high sensitivity is, that it's
mhm,
this like biological trait that you are born with, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's actually this really beautiful gift.
mhm,
And so, yeah, I think people can kind of bristle against that word, and they might not
mhm,
know that they're highly sensitive. And yeah, to understand that it's like a lot more kind of nuanced and layered than just being about feelings or just being about
mhm.
um, being sensitive to like noise or light or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Like I always used to think like being sensitive was like someone who like cries all the time and is like super touchy and super like temperamental and dramatic. And then I realized I'm like, that's not what it is. It's like a nervous system thing. It's
Yes.
like how your nervous system works, how your nervous system is wired. It's not behavioral. Like that's I think was my biggest takeaway from reading about HSP is like highly sensitive people is like it's not like someone offends you and you start crying and you're fragile. It's like, no, that's not what it is. So, because I think you're right. Like, I think a lot of people identify entrepreneurship with being like, you're like the badass boss bitch and you're like you're after it. Right. And I think people who aren't like that sometimes feel like they don't belong in business because that's just not who they are, like
Yeah.
kind of like what you were saying. So, I think that's it. So, why do you think HSPs are uniquely suited for entrepreneurship and why so many end up burning out?
Mhm. So I read a really great book earlier this year called Making Work Work for the Highly Sensitive Person because, I had the sense for myself that like, I'm like, even though this is hard and sometimes I am tempted to go back to like a 9 to 5,
Mm,
I know that my soul was dying in a
yeah,
regular job, right? And so
yeah,
I was like, I want more language for why I think HSPs are particularly suited for entrepreneurship. And
mhm,
so the 3 things that it kind of pointed out was, that it provides interesting challenges.
mm,
So like HSPs, like especially with our like depth of processing and like, you know, really wanting to like, I don't know, think and reflect in this like rich inner world,
mhm,
having work that like you can kind of like dive into and really get like sink your teeth in and get into. Like when you're building a business, like there's so many opportunities for that. And then also meaningful work. Like for HSPs, it's about more than just having a job or just having a paycheck. Like they want to do things that are leading somewhere and that are like aligned with their values and that ultimately you're building something for yourself and that's coming from like your soul essentially. And then finally, which I think is kind of like one of the most important pieces, especially for me, is having a sense of control over what you're doing, when you're doing it, and how your work is done. I
yeah,
think in kind of more traditional office places, like lots of distractions and lots of time wasted, and you don't actually get to really dive into your work. Like there's not that focused time, can be so frustrating and draining.
yeah,
And so when you're your own boss, when you're setting your own schedule, when you're creating this thing, this business, it kind of like hits all those boxes
yeah,
for what is fulfilling work for HSPs. And another thing that I loved from this book was it named the 3 kind of types of work: drudgery, which I
Mhm.
love that word. Then
Yeah.
there's craft, and then there's calling. And so I
Uh,
think when you're building your own business, it gets to be more aligned with this category of calling, and hopefully you have less of the drudgery, although there's still some of that in there too, especially when you're just starting out. But
yeah.
that to me was like, I was like, oh, that's why there's certain type of even design work that I do that I'm like, this is easy. I should be able to do it, but it is like sucking my soul. And I'm like, oh, it's drudgery. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like why I think HSPs like can really thrive as business owners,
Mhm.
is because there's kind of yeah, interesting challenges, meaningful work, and that sense of like autonomy and freedom and flexibility about how you work.
Oh my God, I totally relate to all of those, like all of them. Like it's so hard for me to function like in a role where it's just like looking at the bottom line. Like if it's not contributing, if it's not adding, if it's not aligned, I can't. Like I literally cannot do it. And it's so interesting that that's so true. Because what was the name of the book, Allison?
It's called Making Work Work for the Highly Sensitive Person.
Oh my God, I love
Yeah,
that. Okay,
highly
we're
recommend.
gonna link to that in the show notes. That's like sounds so appropriate. So like why do so many women believe that they're the problem when they're not achieving like success?
Yes. So yeah, I earlier this year I conducted probably about a dozen interviews with women, some HSPs and some not, because I wanted just more language about experiences with stress and anxiety and entrepreneurship. Because I was like, I know what my experience has been, and like the friends I talked to were all saying this, but I kind of wanted some more information. And across the board, everyone said, this is hard, it's stressful, I'm anxious. But interestingly, only the HSPs took it to mean that there was something wrong with them. The other
Um,
people were kind of able to, like, separate themselves and just be like, "Yeah, it's hard because it's hard," but they didn't take it to mean there was something wrong with them, and so I just thought this was, like, a really
oh my God.
interesting distinction. And
Tell us more about that. Like I completely identify with that. Like when
yeah,
things are not working, like how I want them to work or how I visualized or like planned it out to work, I immediately go to this is me. I'm
yeah,
cursed. There's something wrong. Like this is personal.
yeah.
Like and that's so I've never heard that. That's so interesting. So that's like an HSP thing.
As far as what I have
Oh my,
discovered,
well, yeah, based on what you know. Oh my God.
yeah, and I
That's
think, like
crazy.
I think when you start a business, there are just so many things that you have to do and know, and it's just like a crazy task for anybody. And I think like a lot of business advice and these things that were shown on social media, like it's so I understand why we're drawn to people who claim to like have the formula to get like your
Mhm.
5-figure months or your
Mhm.
6-figure year or be booked out. Like we when you don't have the roadmap, you're like looking for any sense of guidance, right? And like I have taken many a course and many a master class to try to, get the solution and the guidance myself. But what I think is that, often these models are not like, they're just like they're like, well, what do I wanna say? They're not for everybody, and I often think that they're not for sensitive people, like, they just don't take into consideration,
Yeah.
um, different types of people, different types of bodies, different types of energy limitations. Like, in addition to myself being a highly sensitive person and also having these health issues, like, I'm very sympathetic to people with chronic illness or, disability or autoimmune diseases or like single moms, like just like these very real limitations to what people can do. Um, and so I think then we're given this, framework, this roadmap. We try it, we don't succeed. We're like, well, I see that it worked for that person. And all these success stories I'm seeing in the testimonials, it's worked for all those people.
Yeah.
It's not working for me, therefore it must be me, right? Like
Oh
it's
my God.
hard to not, it's like the evidence is there, it must be me. And it's hard to not jump to that conclusion.
Oh my God. I just like you're like speaking right to me right now. Like I've never heard that before. That is so interesting. Cause yeah, like I think as leaders, right? Like it's very easy, like, and we're so much in a world where it's like you create your future and you are responsible and you're in control and you are the cause and all that. But I think I'd love your opinion, but I think a lot of times people like teachers and manifestation teachers and all that, they take it too far. They're like, for example, I've had breast cancer and it's like, okay, like I created the breast cancer. There's a war. Somehow collectively we created this war. Like there's a storm. Okay, somehow like our like, like have some influence. And I'm like, I think there are things that are like outside of our control but it's so interesting that like HSPs, like we can personalize everything and take it way too far. Like I know I've done that in my relationships for sure. Like I was married for 15 years, or I was with my ex-husband for 15 years, and there was a lot of different things that weren't working. And I always like thought it was my fault and my fault and my fault and my fault. And at the end of it, there was factors in play that I didn't even know about, and none of it was my fault. But I still was like blaming myself for everything. And I'm so relieved to hear that that's kind of textbook. And oh my God, I'm going to totally look into that.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So
I have a very like feeling about the manifestation thing too. Like I'm partly in it and I'm partly very like skeptical of it because
yeah.
I think to your point, when you're doing all the mindset work to like, envision the thing, manifest the thing, feel as if you already have it and you don't get the results, you feel like it is just your fault. And this
Yeah.
is actually what I think is so powerful about EFT is that it bridges the gap between head and heart, or like mind and body. Because even from my own experience of like all of my health journey and all the work I've done, therapy and coaching, I have known all of the right things in my head. Like I could tell you exactly what is wrong, exactly what it is from my childhood that is the root of the trauma. Like I could write it out for you. Um,
Totally.
but my body still didn't feel safe, was still holding on to all of
Mm.
the victim stories, the limiting beliefs. Um, and so doing EFT like close that gap. And it's like, I really think like you can do all the mindset work, but if your body is still operating from the fear and the survival mode, you're not going to see the results that you want.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, that's why it's important to like tap on the negative first before we try to bring in the positive. It can also be used with positive affirmations to kind of like, raise your vibration or whatever you call it. But if we don't deal with like the shit first,
Yeah.
it's basically just putting a blanket on top of a pile of crap,
That's
Um,
so interesting.
yeah.
So then to bring it to that question, so how does EFT, because I'm obsessed with healing trauma. Like it's my partner, he's like, it's so depressing. He's like, why are all these books around the house of like healing trauma and stuff? And I'm like, to me, he's like, this is so depressing. But I'm like, it's so liberating and so empowering when you like can figure out, like you said, the root cause. Where does this come from? Like you said, covering it, pretending it's not there, ignoring it, like dealing with symptoms
Yeah.
doesn't ever set you free. It never liberates you from the pressure and the heaviness of that experience, right? That how your nervous system, like, what's the word? How it like integrated that experience. So can you give us an example of how, like, you give us an example of okay, when you were feeling anxious before, right? But can you give an example of like using EFT on a past trauma?
Mhm. Yeah. So the nice thing about EFT is that it's like a very gentle approach where we can kind of like start on a, I almost imagine it as like concentric circles. So depending on the intensity of the trauma, we obviously don't want to dive into it right away because that can potentially be re-traumatizing.
Mhm.
So kind of starting at a further distance, even just being like checking in on like how when you think about even starting to tap on this trauma, what comes up in your body.
Mhm.
So kind of like Yeah, giving it quite a wide berth and tapping first on that idea of tapping on the trauma. And once you can get that down lower, then you'd go one step closer. And eventually, when you can get to, let's say, yeah, it was a childhood incident where, like let's even just say with sensitivity, something your a family member said something really harmful about your sensitivity and you were sent away to your room to go deal with the thing. You're crying by yourself, you feel so alone, and you learned that my feelings are not okay, I can't show my
Right.
feelings, something like that. So if that memory felt okay and safe to approach, I would bring my client into that experience and yeah, would probably do some inner child work because that is their inner
Mm.
child. I love internal family systems. I don't know if you're into it as
Oh, I
well.
love it too. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's just like so helpful and a beautiful way of thinking about people that were made up of these parts
Mm.
and that, you know, we don't have to identify like it's a part of us but it's not like our core self, and so it's easier to relate to the parts, and we can work specifically with that. So basically I would guide them while tapping and probably get them to visualize like where is the child, what are they wearing, where are they, where are they in the space, and then asking if the child has anything it wants to consume, and the child can share like what that experience was like for them.
Mhm.
um, and what do they need, and
Mhm.
then once we've kind of gotten that, I would guide them through like those messages that that child actually needed. So probably like, you know you are allowed to have your feelings,
Yeah.
and I am here for you and I will stay with you. I'm not going anywhere. Your
Mhm.
feelings aren't too much.
So
Um,
true.
like just those beautiful, beautiful things that every child wants to know and hear. And I really think inner child work is so powerful. And when we realize that a lot of our big reactions in our adult lives come from this very young place, and
Mhm.
when we can understand that, and when you think about like, if a child in your life today was having, a big reaction, what would you do? Like, you
Mhm.
would probably comfort them and you would hug
Yeah.
them and hold them and let them know that you're there with them. And when we can recognize that our big reactions come from this very young place, we can tend to those parts within ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, kind of a process like that, all the while tapping through the points, which is like, regulating and grounding the person in the
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah, it was so interesting. This morning, I had a call. I'm doing a certification for like a root cause therapy. And one of the things that we have to do for our practicum is we have to do practice sessions with like another student. So we're going back and forth and back and forth. So today, this morning was like my turn and I was the patient. And it was so interesting as we were visualizing this scenario, because you kind of go back, you find per inner child work, like you find, okay, where is the start of this belief? Like, where did you first feel this, whatever belief it was, right? And I went back to this moment where I was like 11 with my parents and around Christmas time or something. And she was like, I need you to like imagine you're there, like see through those eyes, be in that body, be in that place. And all of a sudden you can kind of like embody yourself as an 11-year-old, like, or whatever age it is. But in my case today, it was like this 11-year-old, right? And I was just like starting to feeling all those feelings, seeing all the things, looking around like where we were in the house at the time. And now that you've said this, I really, really think if I can like get myself to that place where I'm 11 and I can do EFT like on myself, oh
Yeah.
my God, like I could totally de-escalate my emotions I'm just trying to visualize doing it. I think it would totally work. Like to be there, be 11, be doing like EFT on myself. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that would be such an inner child healing tool. Oh my God,
Yes.
something to check out, right? Like
Yeah.
that. Oh my God, I
Totally.
love it. I'm so excited. Okay. So from your experience, like, and from with your clients, with yourself, like when you accept your nervous system wiring, like when you understand, okay, maybe I am an HSP, how does that change the way that women build their businesses?
Hmm. Yeah, so I think that, yeah, the knowledge and awareness and acceptance of it then gives you the freedom to be like, okay, these typical models are probably not going to work for me. And then giving yourself the permission to do things differently. And, I do not have a blueprint on how to build an HSP friendly business because I am still on this, but on this journey myself. But I do know the resources exist.
Yeah.
But I think like, yeah, it's fully knowing that you are probably going to get more overwhelmed than the average person as well because of all of this information coming in, because of the high expectations you have on yourself. HSPs are more prone to like comparison and imposter syndrome. So it's almost like there's more, but I don't think that should be, something putting you off. Just like know that you are going to require extra care of yourself and your nervous system. And yeah, kind of really like giving yourself permission to figure out what works for you and how, if you can set up your business in a way and set up your days in a way where, there's like more spaciousness. I know for myself that in order to do like I probably only have a couple hours a day of like good focused work
Mm,
because of my energy limitations. And so I have to be really strategic about how I use my time. Yeah, I kind of like look at my week big picture, but I also know that like I get really tired by calls. So maybe that if you have a lot of calls in your type of work, like maybe it's scheduling breaks in between, or you batch them together so that you can just kind of like crank them out and then, have rest time after.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, I think like nervous system regulation is actually a business strategy and not just like self-care, like something that you do afterwards or like, just little, I don't know. I feel like people often think self-care is like bubble baths and which are
Yeah.
great, but I really think that like prioritizing this, yeah, nervous system regulation so that you can actually, know for yourself what you need and be
Mm,
creating a business that is aligned with your values, that honors your body and that actually feels, yeah, aligned with where you want to go in life.
yeah, no, I agree. Like as an HSP, there's certain things that I do as well that really help me manage my energy. Like certain things like in my personal life, I do not use social media. Like people are like, oh, are you on Instagram? I'm like, well, my assistant has me on Instagram, but I don't check it. Like I just can't. Like I don't watch the news. Like I don't doom scroll. Like people are like, how many hours do you spend on your phone? And I'm like, zero. Like for that, because I just can't.
Yeah.
Like I feel it and it stresses me out. Like I can't hear anything else about Donald Trump wanting to rename a Canadian lake. Like I just can't. Like I can't let that into my vibe, Like things like
Yeah.
if I'm working, like I can't work while listening to music because it distracts me. And my
Mhm.
partner will be like, "Why don't you put on like Spotify?" And it's like I'm like, I just can't. Like it's too much. Like if I'm trying to write, if I'm trying to think, if I'm like, so I don't listen to music. So literally all day I'll like just be me. And then, things like um making it really easy to change things, so for example, like if someone like in my calendar link, if someone wants to book with me, they have their own option to reschedule, so they don't have to go back and forth with me to reschedule. It's like backs and forths to me is like very, I know, like very like I don't lose it obviously, but I'm like it's just very like ugh, like what's the word, how would you describe that, like irritating. It's just like I'm
Yeah.
like no, like so for me I've really created systems that like minimize admin administration because it's like miscellaneous, like it's just like because it all like sucks your energy, right? So to me it's like what you said, it's like totally protecting your energy so you can actually do the things that are in your lane, right?
Yeah.
And I think part of it as well is when you're an HSP is like knowing that, I think it's exactly what you said, like knowing what your lane is, where your zone of genius is, and like intentionally moving other stuff away because we do not have the gas tank that other people have. It's the same way by 5 o'clock, I'm like out of gas. I'm like, that's it. Like people talk about like, okay, you got to work. Like I'm like, no, I'm out of gas. Like lying on the floor in my office, like, like that's
Yes.
it. And also things with HSPs I find as well is like to be active, to be physically active. So you have a way to like burn the energy out in a very productive way. You're not like sitting there watching TV with a glass of wine every night, but like you have like a very constructive way to like process all these feelings, process all these emotions. Like things like I don't know about you, but I do yoga and then I also do weight training and I do walking and I do bike riding and I'm like I try every day to just move my body for like an hour just to like let it out, let the day go. Like I usually work out in the afternoon or the evening and then
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other tips for like people could take away from this call. Like what else do you think like that other people can do that would really support their entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah. I think the movement aspect is so important that you just touched on. Like I think EFT helps with it because it is kind of there is this physical and emotional and logical thing all happening at the same time. But one of the things too, like when I did my EFT training, was kind of just like learning more about somatics as well. And so I would say a lot more shaking nowadays than I ever used to. Like even I was thinking like, well, before this call or before any client call I get on, like I shake it out, like get that nervous energy out of your body, you know? And just different like
Yeah.
postural things like that you can do to kind of like, you know, come into your power, like a confidence pose, like a power pose, like taking up
Yes.
space.
100%.
I often come back to just like the heart or the belly, heart and belly,
Yeah.
back to your intuition and your power and your heart.
Mhm.
But another thing that's been like so key for me is finding community with like-minded entrepreneurs.
100%. I was just going to say that actually. 100%.
I was late to the game on this. Like, I wish I had done this back in 2020 when I was first starting out. I've only really started more intentionally in the last like 2 years, but even more in a more focused way. Earlier this year, a friend of mine and I started a group here in Halifax. So there's just 5 of us, but we're very, you know, like-minded in being women, in being heart-led with our businesses, in wanting to have balance. A couple of us are HSPs, the others maybe not, but there's a real commonality. And it has been such a like, oh, it just fills my heart. Like it is the type of community that I've needed. And, you
Yeah.
know, I wanted it to be a safe space to talk about what's hard about this and also like,
So
why
good.
are we continuing to do this? And it's turned into like a little mastermind. It's like you present your problems and then there's like 4 other people weighing in on what you could do. And
Yeah.
it's like this like, you know, people are like, yes, you're doing it. Like we've
I
been
love
celebrating things and we've been, you know, like commiserating, but it ultimately is like this very encouraging container. And so I think like finding people who like really get it, what it's like to be a woman in business.
Yeah.
Because you know you can have a supportive partner, you can have supportive friends or other people, but it's like if they're not business owners themselves, they don't really get it. So I think
100%.
finding the people who like get it, who are doing it, who are like in the trenches with you is such an important thing.
Oh my God. That's like number one. Like, I don't even know what I would do. Like, I'm a member of a lot of different women in business communities, and it's like, I do not know what I would do. Like, literally, I don't even know how I could work without
Yeah.
that support. Like, I used to be like Lone Ranger for a long time, and it's just so depressing and it's so hard. And so, like, it's really bad for your mental health to do it alone. Like you
Yes.
can't and you shouldn't. So Allison, I wanted to ask a question. So we've got like 10 minutes left and I want to give you time to like share your resources and share where people can find you and stuff. But like, do you think we have enough time to do like a quick EFT session on a topic that maybe like a quick mini EFT tapping session on something that probably entrepreneurs would be dealing with? Like, what do you see in your clients that's a repetitive belief that or trigger that we can just do a quick session tapping for?
Yeah, maybe something about like being scared to show up online.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah, let's say like video, creating videos
Yeah.
specifically. Okay,
Okay.
I'll be your
So
client.
Yeah, you'll be my client. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you are going to be showing up on video. Um, what's the main feeling coming up?
Fear.
Fear. How strong would you rate that fear? On a
Like on
scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the most intense.
like a 9.
And how does that fear show up in your body? Is it in a certain area?
I feel kind of queasy. I feel nauseous. I feel like more my stomach, my belly.
Yeah. And can you tell me a little bit more about the fear? Like, what are some of the thoughts? Like, people might fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I think I worry sometimes that people are going to think I'm not as professional because I don't have all the lighting and the makeup and the script. I fear people are going to like think it's like judge me for my opinion. They're going to disagree. Um, I worry about what my family's going to think if they see me online, like showing up online and like, who do you think you are? And that's so, who are you to talk about that? Like a little, I guess, imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So we'll do a little round of tapping on this. What I'm going to do is I will be saying some phrases that you can repeat after me. And then I'll also be telling you which point to tap through. So you don't have to be watching me. If you want to close your eyes and go inward, you can. You can also watch me though.
Okay.
So we will start on the side of the hand. Even though I have this fear,
Even though I have this fear,
I choose to love and accept myself.
I choose to love and accept myself.
Even though I'm really scared to show up,
Even though I'm really scared to show up,
I'm worried that people will judge me.
I worry that people will judge me.
I'm choosing to be with these feelings right now.
I'm choosing to be with these feelings right now.
And even though this fear is really strong,
And even though this fear is really strong,
currently a 9 out of 10,
currently a 9 out of 10,
I'm choosing to deeply and completely
I'm choosing to deeply and completely
love and accept myself anyway.
love and accept myself anyway.
And we'll come up to the inside of the eyebrow. All of this fear,
All of this fear,
side of the eye, showing up in my body,
showing up in my body,
under the eye, this queasy feeling in my belly,
this queasy feeling in my belly,
under the nose, worried that people will judge me,
worried that people will judge me,
on the chin, worried that I'm not professional enough,
worried that I'm not professional enough,
collarbones, scared that I will be judged,
scared that I will be judged,
under the arms, this sense of who do you think you are,
this sense of who do you think you are,
top of the head, all of this fear of showing up online.
all of this fear of showing up online.
And we'll take a deep breath in and bring your hands back to your body. And so I would normally do several more rounds with that, and I would let other words. Yeah, then we would check in on how that fear number is. If it's gone down, we'd check in on like the body sensations and see if those have shifted at all. But the goal is to ideally bring it down to like a 1 or a 0.
Yeah.
And that way it's like the fear is not gone. You might still, have this like, ugh, but you've lowered the resistance, and then you can go and do the thing, which hopefully builds the confidence muscle. Like, I really do think that confidence comes from taking action, like even when you're scared, but especially for HSPs, the like fake it till you make it, or the like just do the thing. When you are so locked up in fear, to make yourself do that can be like the worst thing ever. So I think to do the work first, to regulate, to address the fear, to lower the resistance through tapping, and then move into the scary thing is like a much gentler way and a more sustainable way to like actually develop the confidence and resilience to become the person who can show up consistently.
Oh my God, so good. Oh my God. Okay, so next steps. So if a woman is in this situation where she's wanting to learn more about EFT, learn about you, resources, tell us all about it. Where can people find you? How can you recommend they work with you? All the things.
Okay, awesome. So my website is AllisonBaileyEFT.com. My signature offering is a 6-week one-to-one container specifically for the highly sensitive woman entrepreneur, where we talk about all the things we've talked about here and really get to like the root of, whatever is like the belief that there's something wrong with you for being a sensitive person. Because I think we have to heal that first
Oh my gosh.
before, like I've come to realize like that's at the core of it. And so, yeah, I love working with women in this way. It's 6 weeks, Zoom sessions to do EFT that are personalized to them. And what I do as well is after the session, I provide audio tapping scripts based on what we did in the session so that people can continue tapping on their own and deepening the work that we did together in session. And so, yeah, I found these to be like really transformative containers because, they're a bit longer, and I also touch base in between. Like I want people to feel really supported. So I offer voice memo support as well. Yeah. So that one's called Rooted and Rising. I have a 3-week session specifically around money mindset because money is a big thing. So many layers there.
So true.
And then if someone is just, maybe not an HSP or maybe not an entrepreneur, I can still work with you. I have a 3-session bundle, which is just 3 sessions that can be used for anything. And then I have audio bundles as well, which are little packages of audio scripts that I've created around specific themes. So I have one for the highly sensitive entrepreneur. I have one on money mindset, and I have one called the Secure Launch, which is kind of around the idea of you're putting something out into the world, because there's a lot of feelings involved in that too.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm just on your website right now, and yeah, absolutely. This is so on point. Oh my God. Okay, so to wrap up the call today, women, trust me, if you're constantly feeling like triggered or edgy, or I know for me, I spent at least season, I was always like mad at everybody, and I was just like so fried, and you need a little break, you need a little space, you need a little like de-escalation. Oh my God. Like I just feel like alpha women are just textbooks so wired. We're just like, and it's a good thing in the sense we get a lot done and we move things forward, but it's also a menace to like your mental health and your peace. So I love this. Oh my God, Allison, thank you so much for being here. Their link to your website will be in the show notes. What about Instagram, LinkedIn? Like where's your spot online?
Yeah, mostly Instagram, at AllisonBailey.EFT. I've just started to post a little bit more on LinkedIn, which is how we got connected, and I'm so grateful. So I'm hoping to have more content there as well in the future.
Fantastic. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. I love it. I know I'm a big EFT fan, and yeah, I can't wait to have you back and we can keep talking about it.
Thank you so much. This was really wonderful.
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you for